Hello, welcome back to the Frayed Brush. In this video, we're going to be going over painting the red hair and beard of Broen Bearson. He's a 75 millimeter figure from Scale World Fantasy line. I started out with a gray coat of Stynylrez primer. A lot of great detail in this figure. Really looking forward. I did break his sword. I was attaching his arms, but that's no problem. We can go back and fix that up later. I'm going to be using my go-to size 3 Artist Opus Series S brush. Great brushes, really enjoying using those. So let's get started. The first color we're going to be using is Jakaro Orange from Citadel. You always want to be sure you give your paints a good shake. Like this one came out kind of thick, but um, we'll use a little bit of water to thin that down. Always thin your paints. And I usually just use the back of my brush to mix up the paints. It's just easier that way, and I don't wreck the bristles by using the bristles to mix up the paint. Just give it a quick mix and wipe off the end of the brush and you're good to go. Now we're going to want to take this Jakaro Orange and we're going to give all the hair a good coat. Your paint's thin enough, so if it's going to take another coat to cover, then that's fine. You're still really far away from obstructing any detail. It's really important to get all that primer covered up and get a good solid coat. So we're going to get the beard covered in this first color and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so we got good coverage. I don't see any primer coming through. Looking good so far. So now for our next color, we're going to be using Troll Slayer Orange from Citadel. I had a little bit of issue with this one, so I used my trusty Reaper Pokey tool. We're going to use this color to go over top of to really pop up that orange a little bit. Going for a fiery type of look on this guy's beard and hair. Haven't really set a scene for him yet, just trying to figure out as I go what I want to do with him, and the fiery, embery red hair just is where my mind led me at the time. Here I'm kind of seeing how thick it is because you want it to be thin enough to cover over the Jakaro orange, but you don't want it to be so thick it obscures detail. And you can see how it's already brightening it up a little bit, but we're going to get all the hair covered again. Again, you want to be sure to cover everything. And we're going to get all this covered and we'll be right back. Alright, so it really popped up the brightness of the hair. Now we're going to go with Fuegan Orange. And you'll notice for this one, I do thin, or I don't thin. It's already thin enough as it is, but I am going to switch to my cheaper craft brush because I really just want to be able to get into all the details. And with as thin as the shades are, they'll creep up into the ferrules of your good brushes real quick. So you want to be careful of that. It's just less cleaning out you have to do later. You can already see putting the Fuegan orange on, I was really picking up the detail of the hair. I'm really throwing some quick shadows in there. So Fuegan orange is dry. It's looking nice. I like the way this is looking so far. Really pleased with the detail that's coming out. So far, so good. Now we're going to move on to Carroburg Crimson. Now for the Carroburg Crimson, we're going to use it with a lot more discretion than we did the Fuegan Orange. This is going to be really, not necessarily pinpoint, but really fine detail on this. So with this, I am going to go back to my Artis Opus brush just so I have the good point on it. But you want to be really careful. I mean, you barely just need to stick the tip of the brush in there to get enough on it. And with this, we're going to go against all of the, from the base of the hair, about halfway the length with the Carroburg Crimson. I do apologize for the out of focus. First time recording and painting at the same time, so still getting used to it. But you want to be real careful with the Carroburg Crimson. You don't necessarily want to douse the whole thing with it like we did the Fuegan Orange. Just really concentrated. And we're going to go ahead and get all this Carroburg Crimson laid down. Remember, just from the base of the hair, about halfway the length. And we're going to get all the Carroburg Crimson placed, and we'll be back. Alright, you can really see that Carroburg Crimson now. Really, really pleased with the way the hair is coming now. A lot of detail coming out in there. Some good transitions. It's really starting to get the effect that I was going for. So next up, we're going to be using Nuln Oil. And with the Nuln Oil, we're going to want to be even more careful because it's going to go in even less area than the Carroburg Crimson did. For the Nuln Oil, basically we're just going to go right at the base where all the hair touches the skin. Just kind of a really fine line going around there. Want to be really careful with this. You don't want to mess up any of the previous work you've done. Again, sorry for the out of focus. This isn't the first time in the video. It probably won't be the last, but we'll work on it. We'll get better. So we're going to get this Nuln Oil laid down, and we'll be right back. Alright, Nuln Oil is looking good. You can tell where I outlined the face with it, where the hair touches the face. Again, really pleased with the way this is turning out right now. Looking good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to grab a Reaper paint here. It's going to be Shell and Blush from their Pathfinder line. Great color here to use for highlights. Again, we're going to give it a good shake, thin it down a little bit. Now with this, we're going to want to make it fairly thin, but not too thin, if that makes sense. Because this Shell and Blush is going to be used for our highest highlights. And For this, I suggest using the sharpest brush possible. I'm still using, as you can see, the Artist Opus. This is a size 3 I'm using. And we're going to take this Shell and Blush, and we're going to use kind of the side of our brush with it, and we're going to do what we can to highlight every strand of hair we can find. Some people say you don't have to do every one, but I try to do every one. I don't know, not sure why, I just think it gives it a better look. And just want to use the side of that brush and find each strand of hair. Again, sorry for the out of focus. We're going to get all this hair highlighted, and we'll see what it looks like in just a second. Alright, so we have all the hair highlighted. I know it's a really big contrast so far against the main colors of the hair, but we'll be okay. So now we're going to move on to Kazandori Yellow. And for this, I will be going back to my craft brush, because with this Kazandori Yellow, we're going to get it, we're just going to do an all over wash with it. And you'll see how it really starts to transform those bright highlights and really pull everything together. You can already see what a great effect we're getting from it. And I'm going to go ahead and put on this Kazandori Yellow. And we went ahead and throw on some skin tone just so you could get a good idea of how it's going to look. I think it looks really good. I think this is something we're going to stick with for the hair. And I think it's a keeper. So really pleased with the way it turned out. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not sure what happened, but after I recorded all the footage and went to edit, I realized there was no sound. So that's the reason for the voice over the video. If you like the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications when the next video comes out. Until then, paint bravely.